This will be your second day on the program, same as if you're on our 3-day program. This will be a clean day. We have some jerk and some squat accessories here today. So our warm-up's going to be planned around ensuring that our trunk and our upper body is stable as we move our hips and our pelvis. Our warm-up is going to start with 3 rounds. You're going to have elevator sit-ups. What this is going to be 10 total. So it should be 5 right, 5 left. I just want you to cycle through and get through 10. I want nice controlled movement all the way down to the floor. Make sure that as you stand up, you're maintaining tension through both feet. Once you've completed your elevator sit-ups, we're going to move on to kettlebell halos with extension. These are going to be a standing movement with a kettlebell. I'd recommend you choose something relatively light because there is sort of a French press or tricep extension that occurs. We want to ensure that we stay braced and our rib cage and our pelvis stay balanced over top of each other. We do only want to maintain just enough tension in our shoulders to let the kettlebell roll around our head and that they're in a good stable position. Don't fight the kettlebell too much because this is a learning movement that's going to move us into mace swings later on in these cycles. I want 10 right, 10 left. From there, we're going to move down to a dying bug. You're going to have your feet up on a box, laying down on your back with your hips elevated like you would be in a glute bridge, and you're going to flex that hip towards yourself. I want to maintain a good braced trunk position. I don't want to lose the integrity between my rib cage and my pelvis. Only the leg is moving. I'm driving my heel hard into the box the whole time. Once we've completed those 3 rounds of our warm-up, we're going to move into our mobility for the day. First, we have a TFL Smash. You're going to get a lacrosse ball, and you're going to line it up in your flexor wad in your hip. That's just above your hip bone, just below your that top of your pelvis. And you're just going to find spots that don't feel great. I want 2 total minutes per side moving around. If you find a spot that feels gnarly, take a breath, contract, relax. You're going to stay there for 2 full minutes. Once you've completed that, we're going to move on to a couch stretch. You're going to modify this and regress this as you see necessary. The only requirement I have is that your knee is completely up against the wall and your butt stays squeezed as much as possible. If you need to regress it, you're just going to keep your one knee on the ground. You're not going to come all the way upright, and you're just going to work on maintaining a good butt squeeze. If that's too easy, you can kick that front leg out in front of you. That's going to put a little bit more tension on your pelvis. Same thing, I want to see that butt squeezed. Still too easy, you can come all the way upright. I just don't want to see that you're arching through your low back to get to that position. Same thing, 2 minutes per side. We're going to move on to our cleans for the day. Our clean warm-up is going to be 3 dip muscle cleans, 3 dip break cleans, and 3 push presses. 2 sets of that at just the bar. Same thing as what we talked about for the snatches on Monday. I want this to be controlled, good quality reps. Every single one of these reps primes you for your reps later on. I want to ensure that the bar stays nice and close, and I dip straight up and straight down with those elbows that I stay connected the whole way through. Once you've completed 2 rounds with just the bar, you're going to add 5 to 10 kilos. Depends on your maximum is going to be how much that addition is going to be. 2 rounds at that. For week 1 through 3, we're going to be using dip break cleans. These are going to progress from 65% to 75%, from triples down to singles. The dip break clean, we want to ensure that we're dipping straight up and straight down. We're not hinging through that dip movement. We're keeping the bar nice and close. Our elbows are coming up nice and high, and we're meeting the bar exactly where we catch it to. The emphasis here is not to meet the bar as high as possible. It's to meet the bar where we pull it to. So this may not be a full power by the time we're getting to that 75%. I want to see that we're stopping where we meet the bar. Once we finish those first 3 weeks, our weeks 4 through 6, same as with our snatch, are going to be 70% to 80%, and we're going to move from triples down to singles. Now, for these last 3 weeks, you have some leniency. I'm giving you numbers that I expect you to be able to hit for these, but we would like to see you push it if the day is feeling really good. All right, once we've completed our cleans for the day, we're going to move on to our accessory work. So for today, we have 2 accessories that we're going to be working on and a little bit of extra credit work. That's up to you whether or not you want to do, whether you've got the juice for the day. Our first one is going to be front squats. These are going to alternate between sets of 4 and sets of 3 over the course of this cycle. You're going to always work your 4s at 70%, and we're just going to be adding sets every week so that we can develop some work tolerance to that load. For our triples, these are going to be done at 80%, and we're going to be working from 4 total sets up to 6 total sets by the end of the cycle. We want to see that you maintain control all the way down and you're standing up really aggressively without losing your trunk tension. I would be expecting you to be able to complete at least 2 to 4 of these sets without a belt as required. And if you're not sure what your 1 rep max is for your front squat, you can typically use about 120% or 130% of your best clean to determine that. Once we've completed our front squat, we're going to move on to power jerks. Same as what we discussed for our snatches, for our snatch push press, and for our snatch push press, we're going to be using a rep max. So we're going to go from a 4 rep, 3 rep, 2 rep. And then for our last 4 weeks, you're going to go 3 rep, 2 rep, 1 rep. So we're going to be ending our cycle in a big, heavy power jerk single. The key to the power jerk is we want to see that you're dipping and driving the bar accurately and nice and vertically while driving that bar back behind your head. This reduces the variability around the footwork, but it requires a lot more accuracy when it comes to your dip and drive. For the extra credit work for the day, this is optional. You don't have to do this. It's up to you if you want to do it, but you may get some brownie points if you do it. We're going to have kettlebell swings and seated box jumps. The kettlebell swings should be heavy. Somewhere between 5 and 8 reps is what we're going to be using over the course of this cycle. If you can get above 100 pounds for these kettlebell swings, that would be ideal. You're going to move directly from these kettlebell swings to your seated box jumps. For the kettlebell swings, because we're going quite heavy, I want to see that you're well braced, you're maintaining a good trunk and pelvic position, the head stays vertical and doesn't do a lot of head moving back and forth, and then we have violent extension of our hips throughout the movement. As soon as you're done your kettlebell swings, you're going to move directly into a seated box jump. Now, these are going to be quite high seated box jumps. I want these to be limits for you to get up to. That way, we're not so much training your ability to drive through the legs, but I want to see that you're able to get your hips up into the correct position, similar to if we're doing a snatch or a clean. From there, you're going to go to a GHD. These are going to be a giant set, same as our lat pull downs from Monday. Now, what I need to be able to see is you're just going to accumulate the total amount of reps. You can regress this by using a stick to assist yourself to come up and come back down, but we want to see that you're probably only doing between 3 to 8 reps per set. If you're doing more than that, it's time for you to progress. If you're doing less than that, you need some assistance.